So this is a long story. So I started out as a print journalist in Germany, and worked for newspapers there. And I always felt that something in my stories, the reportage I was writing there, something was missing there, and this was the visual. And so then I had a chance to work on a documentary for a public broadcaster, and I was just blown away by the power the images have, and how you can really get emotion into a story and really make people feel something, not just understand something intellectually, but really feel it. So I'm really irritated by, and it's difficult for me to understand how Canadians often react to the issue of the Aboriginal people and the treatment and so on. So again, coming from Germany, I'm from the post-war generation after the Second World War, born in 1960 something, and so we were taught that every nation has a national shame to carry. The people of a nation have a national shame to carry, and in the case of Germans, it is the Holocaust for sure, and the two world wars and all this, the terrible high amount of people who have died there, and that we have to take responsibility as the following generation in that way. Not that we are guilty because we have done nothing, but that we understand what has happened there, and that we are aware and try to make sure with our behavior and how we get engaged as citizens of that country to make sure that these things don't happen again, and to make the country heal. And coming here to Canada and looking at the Aboriginal issue, and from residential schools to land claims and the 60s scoop and whatever else is out there, I was irritated, and that Canadians are not willing to take on this guilt. They're not willing to take on this shame. So that instead Aboriginal people have to deal with a lot of racism, have to deal with a lot of ignorance and neglect from from the rest of the country, and then also that Canadians are not even really informed about the history of the Aboriginal people and what has happened there. So there's a high level of complacency that I witness, and more of an annoyance. So there they are again. So there they are complaining again. And so I thought that in my films I could maybe offer a fresh new view at the topic, because I wouldn't do it as a Canadian from this feeling of guilt and political correctness and so on. Yeah, I'm doing these films as an outsider. I met Chris during the filming of Broke, which was a feature documentary set in a pawn shop, and so he became the pawnbroker's assistant, and so I was really intrigued by his story. So I think that I'm very good at doing stories, that I'm very good at doing portraits of people, very very intimate stories, and so that I'm able to get into people's heads and try to see the world through their eyes. And in Chris' case, I could sense a very very smart, charismatic person, but a person that was stuck in his story, and so because of the abuse he's gone through, the racism he has experienced, being abandoned, and actually twice being abandoned twice, and all these things coming together, I thought that I wanted to learn more about him, and So the other thing about why his story was that he was, besides being in my eyes very special and an interesting character on one hand, on the other hand he was really reflecting a lot about the Aboriginal problems. So the prisons are full of people like Chris, and most of them they receive a label like him, this antisocial personality disorder, blah blah blah, and so the prisons are full of messed up kids like Chris, who have gone through difficult times and are struggling in this way. And so this was at the time of Harper's crime bill when it just came up, and I thought it would be a really important film to do, to give people an insight into who are the people who are populating our prisons, and why the hell should we be tougher on crime and punish them even more. So people like Chris, they need therapy, they need help, but they shouldn't be in the prison system, I think. When you make such intimate films, you have a really huge responsibility, especially if your main character is very vulnerable, like in Chris' case. And so I gave Chris a camera as well, so that he could tell part of his story. This is one of the reasons Antisocial Limited looks a little bit rough, yeah, because I did integrate parts of the filming Chris did, and which have more the function of a video diary, and he was really crucial too in creating the interactive website. So there you find blogs he wrote and many videos he did, and where he talked about from everything about his life, what to cook when you're poor, to how to behave when you are in prison for the very first time. So there's a wide range of things he's sharing with us, and it's very fascinating. I'm always fascinated with the idea of opening a world nobody would necessarily enter or would have the opportunity to enter this world, and to show the people as they are in this world and how they're dealing with life. So because it's a very powerful reflection on who we are, and so always in the hope that it will create more tolerance and more understanding of the world around us, and that the things maybe we are sometimes afraid of, so some like going into a pawn shop or so, or I did a film about street prostitution, yeah. Being afraid of this world, that we develop another level of compassion and understand that we are all part of one weave, and are maybe more willing to help and support and to become politically active, to do something to change these situations. I think art is politics. Art is an important part of our lives. I think that art is as important as breathing and eating and sleeping. And we are often not aware of it, but it is an essential part. And the interesting thing is, even though art may not always directly, it doesn't make politics, but it creates a feeling, a vision of the life we should have. It creates a vision of humanity, how we should live together, how we should create communities, and how we should take responsibility for each other. And so there's no surprise that politicians, for example, in many countries are afraid of artists, because what they are doing there really ignite something in people to get up and to say no more of this, or gives people an idea of what freedom is, or could be, or what it smells like, or what it sounds like. And so throughout history, not only I think Hitler has has killed millions of artists. And if you look at Chile, Pinochet, yeah? So the artists were one of the first who were tortured and killed. And the same happens in every other country, because there's something very essential, very human and profound in art that we all need and that we all carry with us. So I'm working on a feature documentary called Memento Mori, Remember You Will Die, another really uplifting topic, and which is set at a transplant institute, and it is a very philosophical story where we will show the whole process, the whole machinery of a person dying and the decision made to donate the organs, and we will go through the whole machinery, the whole process of surgery and so on, and follow up with the people's lives and how it really has altered their lives, the donor families as well as the recipients. And the message of this film will be that we as human beings, we have developed this not only the technology, we have the ability to give our death meaning and to give other people a second life. So, and with that we create an amazing, strong community through this sacrifice. Because Canada has one of the lowest organ donation rates in the world. And there are 3,200 people, I think, right now on a waiting list for an organ. So they are really at the brink of death, these 3,200 people who are waiting for an organ, and 4 of them die every day. So, and it would be easy for all of us to do something about it, just with signing our donor card. Compared to many other countries in the world, Canada still has a really good funding system set up for documentaries. The problem is more that it's all based on a broadcast license, and broadcasters just don't license documentaries anymore, or less and less. And the reason for that is that the whole broadcast system in Canada is in my eyes is absolutely diluted. So there are broadcast is nearly at the end, but also there are many small stations, and they get some funding here and there, but they can barely really exist, and then they are always competing with the US market. So most of them will just do an acquisition of some cheap reality show and things like that, and then focus on getting as much advertising as possible into their shows, and for that they need to have certain focus groups, because the advertisers want to have a certain focus group that should see their advertisement, and so there are no places anymore where they show documentaries, and so you can have a really nice system set up, and Canada has a really good funding system in my eyes, but the opportunities to show these feature documentaries have become very, very little. So that, I think, is the biggest problem we have here, and it's a big country, so it's not easy to do it even through a theatrical release and so on. Oh, I think the work the Cinema Politica is doing is just fantastic, and so and I wish that you could grow even more. I know you're already in many universities in Europe as well as I think in South America as well, right? And so it's and here in all of North America. I hope that you can grow even more, and that you will get more funding, so that you can really develop it and maybe reach out to even more people to see the films in your collection, because most of the films I've seen lined up there are absolutely outstanding.